You're listening to Chem Stories, a podcast series created by people with lived experience of P&P chemsex.
Hello, sunshine. This is Captain Patrice welcoming you aboard Chem Stories Airlines for our YUL Heritage Flight. On this third Montreal departure, Host Éric introduces two experienced flyers, Hugues and Jean-Sébastien. Our flight plan forecasts a three-part conversation exploring the intersections of queer history, community, and substance use. We'll be underway shortly, so please make sure to keep your hearts and minds open at all times. Keep your prejudices securely stowed, as this flight is a judgment-free zone, and prepare for takeoff. Should you experience turbulence while listening to this podcast, please visit our list of resources and services related to P&P chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca. Thank you for choosing Chem Stories Airlines, where the journey is always a trip.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to this episode of Chem Stories. So my name is Éric. I'm the Montreal host of the Chem Stories podcast. And I'm here with two friends, person I know from Montreal. And we're going to have a very interesting discussion, I'm sure, about community response to chemsex. And also, we're going to try to put chemsex in a kind of a historical perspective of the LGBTQ plus community. So yes, I just maybe wanted to start by introducing Jean-Sébastien and Hugues. Just a quick word. So Jean-Sébastien Rousseau, you've been doing a lot of things in the community with chemsex. You started Ça prend village. You have, of course, both of you are here because you have a chemsex experience also. But Jean-Sébastien, you've been working also at YUL, and now you work for a pharmaceutical company with a community and HIV. So we're going to talk a bit about that. Thank you for being here.
How did I get here?
I don't know.
Who am I? Where are we? So Jean-Sébastien or Jean-Seb or JS or a lot of short names because my name is basically the alphabet if you write it or pronounce it all along.
And Hugues, so you're also a bit everywhere in the community regarding, but not only chemsex, but many other aspects of the LGBTQ plus community. You're going to talk a bit about that. But you worked with Coxida. You've been on board of Espace LGBTQ plus. I don't know if this is the letters they choose for the name, but yeah, okay.
That's that one version of the acronym.
And you also did a lot of work and I'm going to let you talk a bit more about that, but in university about cruising spots in gay community and the importance of that. I would like maybe if you can take a moment to just introduce yourself and maybe tell us what is your link with these kind of two aspects we're going to cover today. So which is like community and the history of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, for sure. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to have this discussion with both of you. So as you said, I'm Hugues Lefebvre-Moras. I'm right now a PhD student at Université de Montréal. I'm a designer artist. I work primarily in architecture and design. Most of my research are focused on spaces of queer community, spaces of queer desires. Like you said, I've worked on cruising. I've worked on bathhouses. I'm working now on gay bars and other queer spaces. And my PhD project is on spaces of collective queer living outside of metropolitan areas, because like most of the time when we talk about queers in rural areas, we talk about solitude and stuff like that, but there's actually collective living. So it's just a way to say I'm working on gay campings. But and also a woman's land and like things like that. But that's a nice field work I have to do.
But it's a very important community. I don't know. It's a marker of the community. The campings, the gay campings around Montreal. It's really something. Yeah.
There's a couple of them in Quebec, and actually thousands of men are on those campgrounds the whole summer. So and we don't talk about it like in culture, in media. It's like really like when it's not metropolitan or that solitude story of someone living in the countryside, we don't talk about those alternative ways of living. But so I guess that would be my part of like knowing about the history. It's like this research academic aspect of my life and work. But also I've been living with HIV for 10 years, and this like change in my life. I was in my early 20s when it happened. I really was actually like my way into the queer and gay and LGBTQ community because I was so young and I was always some kind of like an activist of some sort, or social justice was always important to me. But like it wasn't related to like queer rights. But then like this, was my way into it. And I started to work with Coxida, with Maison Plein Coeur. I was like in those peer-to-peer program with other young HIV people. And I worked my way through. As you said, I was on the board of Espace LGBTQ+, which is a project to build a community center in Montreal because we're kind of one of the last big city in North America that we don't have a community center.
Thank you so much. And maybe later we're going to go to the connection of your work with the chemsex and how it kind of connect in your life also, but we get there after. But I would like to know a bit, what's your experience of chemsex?
I mean, I will address the elephant in the room because I think when we talk about chemsex, people go directly to crystal meth. And like, I never have tried crystal meth. I think maybe once someone tried to push like a puff or a cloud in my mouth while we were kissing, but that's about it. However, I've been using party drugs in like sexual and non-sexual settings for like pretty much all my adult life. And I like having some kinds of drugs and some kind of like sexual enhancing drugs in some moments, in some settings. I don't like to be super high ever. Like I don't like to lose touch of reality on any drug. So that's why like everything I do is low dosage. That's how I'm built, I guess. But so I think that's why I like to do like a little bit of them, and I haven't developed really like addiction. Cigarette is another thing. But I literally grew up in a ashtray. So like, sorry mom, sorry dad.
I grew up in an ashtray. That's your bio.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been around PNP culture a lot, especially when I was again younger and just after my diagnosis. I was kind of, going to those parties. I was just like kind of loving that kind of sexuality and that kind of like setting to meet people, and like with the apps and with bathhouses and stuff, and like people I was getting friends with through sex, so friends with benefit or sex friends. I was around that kind of culture, those kinds of nights, and I enjoyed them. So I was part of that kind of culture. Without like most of the time, I was maybe the only one not using crystal meth, but I was, I was prepping the pipe. I was holding the arm of someone maybe who was slamming. But I at some point, and it kind of coincided with COVID, I had made the decision that I wanted to maybe start to have other type of sexualities. So I kind of moved away from it because it was a kind of getting to be my only type of sexuality. Not that I have, again, anything, because like I did have fun in those nights, and I think I could still like have fun with people who are using. I probably am still doing it without knowing if someone is using or not. And I'm having fun. But at one point in my life, it was like the only type of sexuality I had. So,
and what would you say? What was missing in your sexual life, or what else did you wanted that maybe the chemsex scene was not?
I think, because it was becoming more and more about the drug itself than the connection with people or the sex. I was like, okay, if I'm not high, or at least not high on the same thing, I'm like I'm not connecting to the same level as the other people, and then if sex is not happening, I'm just like spending a night awake, getting myself tired without having any kind of fulfillment. So and I was like wondering, why was it my default type of sexuality? And so I wanted to maybe, and it, like I said, COVID happened. So also we had that time to just reflect on ourselves all alone. But it was kind of, it was not that much of like a big decision. It was more just like going with the flow and feeling that I wanted something else, I would say. But here I am. But like that being said, I like, even for me who haven't used crystal meth, I have a different relationship with that drug because like I knew I could get addicted to that one. Like I feel like that one would have been a different story, that I could not just use it like I do with the other one. Like, oh, I don't like having a big high, so I'll just do half a dose and just like have my little fun there and like wait 6 months to do it again. Like, so yeah, I think this one is really different. And I was staying very close to it because I was developing some kind of relationship with it as like, yeah, this one is something different. I had this like taming relationship with it because it was like fascinating and different and dangerous. And for someone who has just been diagnosed with HIV, it was like, because like there's this narrative, and I've heard a lot of HIV people who's using meth, using that link between them. Like when you get HIV, you're already toxic. So like, what would be like taking meth? Like if you're already toxic, you know? So
it's it's so interesting, I think, because you said like this connection with meth being different, and you kind of had this bell in your head telling you something. I think for me, I really relate to that. The difference is I did not listen to it.
For me, it was a symphony. It wasn't a bell. It was like, ooh.
No, but I mean, because I often have this, I remember before I used meth for the first time, I really had this idea that I could take any drugs, but not this one. And this was, it was really clear in my head, like from the stories I've gathered, and that this was like the limit. It was kind of something else. And I think we all kind of have it, but for some reason that I can't explain, some people are, this makes it really interesting to go to, and some people are saying, no, I won't go there. And for me, it's fascinating hearing you saying that you like to take drugs with moderation. That's for me. That's for me. Like, wow. But I mean, that's also, I love to hear that, because I always say to people that addiction is some kind of a disease. It's a condition, and you can be predisposed for it, and some people are not. And so I'm like, yeah, this is it. Yeah. I mean, for some people, it's not possible to stop. It's not like, it's really difficult, and you need to go through therapy to go to, you need support, you need medical help, and so hearing you say that kind of gives like really the perspective on that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not an individual decision. It's like someone doesn't choose to become an addict. And as you said, there might be predisposition.
I mean, for me, I mean, the first time I took meth, I knew. I was like, oh shit. And I had the same kind of, like Jess were saying, I was drinking, and I was not really doing a lot of other drugs. I did like, sometimes I did like, I think 2 times I did E before, and I was not smoking weed because it wasn't doing me very well. After I used, but the thing is, after I started using crystal meth, then I was using everything else, because okay. So yeah.
But yeah, on a more personal level, like this idea of when you become HIV positive, like, and especially because I was so young, it was like, I was seeing myself as such a cliche, you know. I was like, okay, I'm 20 something, and here I am coming out as a gay man who's HIV positive. Like, it's like I'm just like another one, just like really basic. Actually, I was like, oh, I'm a basic bitch. I'm just a white gay man with HIV. Like, so, but yeah, you really like, it's like this idea of like through the looking glass, like when you're on the other side. And when you see all the money in the fight against HIV going to like making sure that people who are HIV negative stay HIV negative, which is really important. I don't wish anyone to become HIV positive. I'm part of that fight. But like knowing that every services that is helping people who are HIV positive are being cut, you're like, okay, but well, I'm already dead. Like when you get HIV, the society is like, oh, we lost one, and we will mourn them. So, because, services were getting cut, and so it's like, okay, well, I am not valued. People think they dropped my case. I am a lost cause. So yeah, it was really hard. I think, like I said, it's been 10 years, and I'm almost getting out of like a 10-year-long depression. It was really hard. Being active in the community really is what helped me. But yeah, meth was like there for me as this exit strategy, really, because like if I'm already dead in the eyes of everyone, it will not be a loss if I just start using and become, cannot do anything good to society. I will just be using on some other guy's bed, going from beds to beds, like, and yes, so.
Yeah, so you're saying basically Yeah, meth was like the last thing you would do if you wanted an exit strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because I was so severely depressive and thinking of ending my life. Really, I was suicidal in many ways, but I was like, well, if I can have fun at least. Go with the back. Yeah,
We go back to this.
Yes, exactly.
at least we're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
I can buy a new jock strap.
Yeah.
It looks fabulous. So
Exactly.
fuck off.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, yeah, I will like destroy my life, but at least I'll have fun for the year, 2 years, 5 years before I die of an overdose or a heart attack in a bathhouse. That was like kind of this thing. So I think that's why, as I said, I was involved so much in the chemsex culture, in the crystal meth culture, because I wanted to keep crystal meth close as this exists. Yeah, in case, like when the time would come. But also in some ways, being that close is really what also saved me in a way. Because I was like, every weekend I was doing that thing. I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's not the time. I actually don't want to go down that rabbit holes. So yeah, and I saw then also people. So that also was like a wake-up call. Like, okay, no, I'm seeing friends going down this path. And okay, yeah, maybe I don't actually want to end my life so much. And I want maybe do something else. But I think in my case, it's still an ongoing fight. Like, I don't think and I think that's why I took the step back. Like I said throughout the podcast, like, yeah, I needed a break because I don't think I need that exit strategy now. So I shouldn't like see it now as something fun I could try.
You don't need to keep it as close.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's not an exit strategy, it's then something.
What the hell is it?
And then it could become just, okay, yeah, maybe I should try. And then I go down.
It's so interesting, this relationship that you had with meth, with the end, capital E. So I don't live with HIV. I don't know how, because like I think it's kind of like, thank you, PrEP. So I don't live with HIV. But my relationship to meth, we obviously in these podcasts and interviews, we always talk about the romance behind it, right? Like the fun and the parties and the sex and the raw fucking and everything. But there is also a very darker side to it. And while I don't have HIV, I remember thinking that I had started using, quote unquote, the worst drug, end quote. And that was going to be my flipping the bird to the world. Like, I can't do life as you would want me to. I can't figure this shit out. I don't know how to do this. So I'm going to do meth and it will eventually kill me, and that's going to be okay. So that relationship to despair and to ending things and to living your downfall on your own damn terms, I think resonates a lot to a lot of people with or without HIV. But I think you touched on something extremely true for a lot of people who do live with HIV or have lived with HIV. Chemsex and crystal meth use was incredibly popular in the 90s and 2000 among people who were living with HIV and were trying to express their sexuality without the burden of stigma, danger amongst each other. So it these pause circles kind of created, and then drugs were part of it. And it was a space to create this, well, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down together, naked and having fun on our own terms. And like, getting your exit strategy ready because we're control freaks. Like, I'm going to die with this one.
Yeah, exactly. The HIV community is a blood family, literally. Like, we talk a lot about like chosen family in the queer community. We're blood family. Like we could actually build like family tree and see like if we have someone in common in our ancestry. So yeah, so I really have this like deep feeling, deep bond of like having this real family within the HIV community. So just like go to meet my sibling, like who are they? And like it's such a big and diverse community. It's wonderful. So yeah, I think really that's what was so much valuable for me. Like I ended up at one point in like some sort of like retreat. Well, I guess I can say it's PLDI, Positive Leadership Development Institute. I was at one of their training program. We were maybe like 3 or 4 white gay men, a couple white women, but like 20 Black women from African, Caribbean, and other like Black descents. When in my life will I ever be surrounded with like the wisdom of like those women who have like lived through immigration and HIV and motherhood and war and like all those hardship, and like just be like hear their story related to HIV or not, but like that was just like, yeah, being part of this community give me access to wonderful human beings and story that I wouldn't hear anywhere else. So yeah, I think that's really how I am involved into like community is this idea that I was able to get through having diagnosis at such a young age. It was really the idea of having people of like everywhere in the world and every age and like every life path that helped me go through it. So it's always part of the equation. The peer-to-peer for me was really what's at the heart of it. Also, like this helping thing is like, because at the end we all end up helping each other, really, because I realized that while him helping, being like a peer-to-peer, but I was also helping myself. So yeah, I think I found a big value in community where in the end, that's something I value in general.
I think there's a lot of stuff we can go back on what you said, but thank you so much. And also with Jean-Sébastien Rousseau, we have stories that are a bit similar, Jean-Sébastien and I, and we're really close now. So yeah, so we met in support group, people like helping each other to overcome addiction to crystal meth. Jean-Sébastien, you're also really involved in the community, in the chemsex community. You have, of course, chemsex past, but since then you've worked at a health clinic in Montreal with people using chemsex. Now you work for a pharmaceutical company with people living with HIV and with community. And I can state maybe one of the key thing you've done for the chemsex community is an organization called Ça prend un village. It takes a village, which was actually, I participated in it, which was the first time actually that in French and in Quebec, we were listening and seeing people on video, on tapes, on YouTube, talking about their chemsex lives and their story with chemsex. So it was three videos of people that were trying to stop using crystal meth. And can you tell us a bit maybe why you wanted to do this and what was the goal when you started this?
With It Takes a Village, after a year of recovery, so like very strong abstinence, program-based therapy, healthcare, like full-on recovery. Just I gave the same energy to getting better as I had given it to getting high. After a whole year, I realized how lucky I was to be able to dedicate a lot of time and resources to getting back to life. And I remember thinking, I can't just get better and leave. You can't just walk out from here. Whatever I'm privileged to get out of this recovery needs to resonate somewhere. And at the same time, I was very conscious that I had no example of people who had recovered in the public space. No one had. We had seen the meth campaigns with people with rotting teeth and, horrible visuals of their representation and
fear campaigns.
Yeah. And we all kind of rolled our eyes at it. Same thing for like packs of smokes, or you see, exactly. It doesn't really work. It's just gross. And it's stigmatizing as hell. So I just remember thinking there is no story out there that gives people a different perspective. So we decided to tell it. I think what brought me to this table today is, I'm not a historian of queer culture or the gay community. However, I am a 40-something-year-old man living in the queer world for quite a while. And I've always had an interest of how we had built our community and our culture in adversity and marginalization, but also through immense creativity and survival skills that I have not seen elsewhere in the world. So I've always been fascinated by that. As a gay man, I've experienced various levels of checking out from the world because at certain steps of my life, it was overbearing, too much, or way too fun. So you had to like pull out of it or get distracted from it or grow another experience from it. Anyways, that led me to significant substance use and alcohol use and led me to using crystal meth and chemsex for a very long period of time, somewhere in my 30s. funny enough, my life was very much on track at that moment. And then when chemsex practices and crystal meth and GHB kind of came into play, it halted whatever I had constructed since then. I became a person addicted to drugs as a full-time career, and that's what I did for a couple of years. So much so that I had to recover from it. And that became a huge part of my life as well. Through that process of coming back to me or creating a new me, whatever you want to call it, I found significant interest in this kind of dialogue because it was absent. While I was using and recovering, not a lot of people were speaking out about what they were doing in their bedrooms or in the sauna bathhouses, the drugs they were using, why they were using it, what it was doing to them, to their loved one, etc. It was a very, very silent, but yet extremely popular way of life. A lot of us were doing this. None of us were talking about it. And when I started getting a little bit better, I found that debilitating. I thought there's a need to talk about this and to give people options on what they could do. And without really planning it, I just became an advocate for this dialogue, not advocating for one or another type of approach, just getting the message out here. I don't know how I got that job, but at one point I was hired at a clinic to do caseworking for people who were struggling with chemsex addiction problems or whatever, and navigating them into the healthcare system, which was, a challenge because the healthcare system was never built for them or for us. So we had to invent a couple of things, and that I became just more and more specialized, I guess, and more interested. And to this day, even though it's been many years since I last had a puff of anything, I still am wildly interested in the phenomenon that is chemsex and the people who practice it.
And it's interesting because all the idea of chem stories is giving really voices to people who have a chemsex experience. And so you did that a lot because you did Ça prend Village, where you were putting other people in front. You were interviewer in it. But then you did also Relation Toxique, which is a podcast, it's toxic relations, which was on really addiction, not only chemsex, but addiction. But you were kind of the person in the podcast talking about your chemsex experience. And in this, it's an amazing podcast. And in this, you were really disclosing
everything. With receipts.
Yeah. And why was it important for you to share the story, maybe your story?
It was important because I had asked other people to do it, to share their own story, and no one kind of knew mine. And I didn't want to hide behind other people's tales. So there was a responsibility to it. At a very individualistic level, it also kept me sober. Because if I told that tale, I would not. I figured if I tell this, I have such a big ego that it won't let me relapse or use, because I'm on the radio saying how great I am. So, so it's kind of a way to keep myself accountable. But it's a very interesting thing to do on so we recorded that podcast over many hours, and it's through episodes. So people really have a chance to follow whoever's speaking. It's quite the adventure to tell your story from beginning to end and then to listen to it. And there's something very healing about piecing things together that were perceived as very chaotic while I lived it. And to be able to simmer it down, make sense of it, have someone who was extremely compassionate. The producers were amazing on this one, asking questions and then really asking about my perspective and how I lived it. It actually helped to make peace with it. And there's a fantastic way. If you don't want to be ashamed of something, tell it. Right? Bitch, you can't make fun of me. You can't shame me. I'm already out on the radio speaking about it. So it was a great defense mechanism. You can't, you can tell stories about me. Everyone knows it's already on the radio. Yeah.
Attention all passengers, Captain Patrice speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude. We're now approaching the second leg of our YUL heritage flight, where Montreal host Éric resumes his conversation with Hugues and Jean-Sébastien as they delve into the historical and cultural context of chemsex within the LGBTQ community. More compelling stories await. Subscribe to stay updated. If you've encountered turbulence while listening to this podcast, please refer to our list of resources and services related to PNP chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca.